I first grabbed two of these bicycle wreath frames from Dollar Tree. And then I also grabbed four of these metal containers, also came from Dollar Tree. I will be using Waverly chalk paint in the color ink. And I'll just be painting those metal containers inside and out. Also, before I started painting these did have a handle on them. I just took them off. I don't really need them, and you could throw them out or use them for another project. I just threw mine out. So again, just painting inside and out. This did end up taking two coats. You want to dry the first coat before going on to the second coat and then allow everything to dry. And then I grabbed this bread pan, also came from Dollar Tree. Again, using Waverly chalk paint in the color ink. I am just going to be painting this inside and out as well. This also took two coats, and you want to dry the first coat before going on to the second coat and then allow that to dry as well. Now I am grabbing those metal containers and one of the bicycle wreath frames. I'm just placing one of the metal containers, finding a good placement for it, and just kind of marking it, because now I'm going to be drilling some holes on the back of these containers. And this is going to help me hold those containers onto the wreath frame. So I am using zip ties to hold these together. I tried using the Dollar Tree adhesive glue and hot glue to hold these onto the wreath frame, but it just didn't work. So decided to just drill the holes and then hold these together using those zip ties. So these are going to be a little wobbly at first, but all you have to do is just hot glue those onto the back side. Just put a generous amount of hot glue where those zip ties are, and then these will not move anywhere. And since these zip ties are also a white, clear kind of color, once I applied these onto the wreath frame, I just painted those zip ties with that chalk paint. But again, here I am just finding good placements for those containers and then just adding some hot glue on the back of them. And now they're nice and sturdy. Now just go ahead and grab that bread pan. And again, I just drilled a hole at the top of the pan. And this is what I'm going to be using to hold those wreath frames into place. Again, this is going to be wobbly at first, but don't worry, we're going to take care of that in just a little bit. So I got the one wreath frame on. Now I'm flipping it upside down and then going to be drilling another hole for the second wreath frame. Here I am just grabbing that. I'm going to zip tie that together. And then I grabbed one of these wooden dowels. You could get these from Dollar Tree, or you could even get them on Amazon. There were some openings in the center of those wreath frames, so I just put that right through, marked it off to where I had to cut it, so that way it fits perfectly. I painted that black. And for this part, I definitely needed another pair of hands, but I managed to do it myself. But where I attached the zip ties to the bread pan and the wreath frames, I just added a little bit more hot glue, and then I just had that dry, just put something next to it to make sure that they didn't fall out of place. And then I grabbed that wooden dowel and just hot glued that in between the center of those wreath frames. Then I grabbed some of these very small popsicle sticks, also from Dollar Tree, just painted those black. And I'm just going to be hot gluing those all around the outer edge of those wreath frames. So this is going to hold both of those wreath frames together. So this just helps it make it a little bit more stable. So I hot glued two on the top and then two on the bottom, and look at that. And then to cover the holes in the center of those wreath frames, I just hot glued these rusty stars. You could get these from Amazon. I used some brown paper bags as a filler for the bottom and then just filled that up with some Spanish moss. And I did the same thing to the metal containers, just filled it up with some brown paper bags to act as a filler. And then I started adding some greenery inside of there and then just topped it off with a little bit more Spanish moss. And there you go, guys. Now you just created your own DIY Ferris wheel planter. I think this came out so amazing. I hope this inspires you guys to create your own in your own special way. If it did, please be sure to sprinkle the love. Thank you so, so much. And I hope y'all have a good rest of your day. Thanks. Bye.